Hey everybody, it's First Warning Storm Team Chief Meteorologist Brad Penovich. It is 7:50 p.m. on a Saturday night. Hope you're having a great Saturday night. Most of us have just seen a miserably cold day with drizzle, mist, sleet, and sometimes snow. But tonight, things are going to start going downhill, especially in the mountains and foothills. Now, across the Piedmont, a little different story. Let me break down what's happening right now. Here is the latest warnings and advisories. So all those kind of like purple shades down here around, Charlotte down south is technically under a winter weather advisory, but I'll be honest with you, there's likely going to be little to no impact in these areas. But once you get up into here, especially this area right here, that's where our biggest concern tonight is. And primarily, it's not snow, it's not even sleet, though some of that will mix in at times. It's going to be ice. Ice is the biggest concern in this area under the winter storm warning, and I'll explain why. Here's our system. I'll loop this a couple times and you can kind of see it. Let me loop it. Here we go. You see it's a pretty large system, but most of the moisture is up in here where the cold air is. Now there's an axis of heavy moisture that's moving in right now, and what's happened is some cold air has gotten trapped up against the mountains essentially. And this warm air aloft is riding up and over that cold, dry air at the surface. It's falling down into it, and we're going through a process this evening of evaporative cooling. I know a lot of you have just seen rain. Doesn't mean it's going to stay rain. There's a really good chance that this is going to eventually, change over to some freezing rain here in the next couple of hours. And the reason it's going to happen that way is it goes through a process we call dynamic cooling. It's the same reason, you sweat and you get cool in the summer, or if you get out of the pool or shower, you feel chilly because moisture evaporates off your skin. It causes you to cool. Now in the atmosphere, that impact causes the atmosphere to get colder. Now, where we're seeing primarily the ice is in the area in pink. Whoops, didn't mean to do that. The area that we're seeing in pink is where we're getting ice, and it actually extends down into northeast Georgia. So it's on the eastern facing slopes right in there. This is where our ice is. We have not seen any freezing rain at all here because temperatures are actually above the freezing mark, and I'm going to show you that in this next graphic, because what I did here is I plotted the surface temperatures along with our current radar. So I'm going to go into a couple areas. Notice across the Charlotte area, I'm not going to say it's warm, but it's above freezing. And when I say warm, in a sense like this, I'm specifically talking about the fact that it's not 32 degrees or lower. As we get closer to Interstate 40, a couple areas you notice, Shelby is at 34, Hickory is at 34, Statesville, Salisbury, and Morganton at 34. We're getting some sleet to mix in here. But once you get up to Boone, Jefferson, and even around Lenoir, temperatures are getting close to the freezing mark. So we're seeing icing going on in these areas. Upper Burke County, Upper Caldwell County, Yadkin Valley, as you come through Wilkesboro down into areas of Caldwell County. And I really think this area right in here, and again, probably the northern part, north of Highway 64, these are the areas that are likely going to see temperatures fall to or below freezing here in the next, I say, 2 to 3 hours. And we're probably going to see some significant icing. Now, this does extend down to Asheville, where at the airport they're getting icing, and even into the upstate. I said the upstate. It's kind of really the mountains of South Carolina, which is right across the state line here. That upslope flow is actually causing the air to cool a little bit as well, the lifting of that air. So we're getting a lot of ice in those areas as well. And this is an area overnight where I think that's where the ice will remain. Now, it's not going to exactly be warm here in the Charlotte area, as I mentioned, but I do think temperatures will stay above the freezing mark. So here's a little wider view of the temperatures. And one thing that's really important to watch tonight, and we often talk about these in the summertime, are the dew point temperatures. The dew points have actually come up. As the atmosphere moistens up, you see the dew points getting closer to the freezing mark. And the reason dew points are important is the air temperature can never fall below the dew point, but if we moisten the atmosphere up, there basically cools the air down as the dew point comes up. Anywhere I see dew points that are above 32 degrees, I get a little worried that we could see temperatures fall close to that. Well, in Charlotte we're 25, but the temperature's 38, so even if we come up to 32, we're probably going to be really close. So basically, the areas that have the best chance of seeing icing are the areas that are already raining and the dew points are basically below the freezing mark. So that's where the areas where evaporative cooling is going to cause the temperature to stay at or below the freezing mark. So here's our future cast. We'll go hour by hour here. Notice the moisture coming in. And the pink, remember, is a mix. Not so much the ice, but I can show you where the ice is just by basically showing you where we're going to see temperatures at or below the freezing mark, and we've got precipitation overlaid. So you're looking at areas from Asheville to Morganton, Hickory. Watch these temperatures in here. I'm going to circle those, and even like around Lincolnton and even Shelby. So watch those areas as I advance this. See how those temperatures kind of dance around the 32, 33 degree mark? That's where we're likely going to see some icing occurring. And again, it's going to be on elevated surfaces, so bridges, overpasses, railings, trees, power lines, all that stuff. The other thing to notice here is look at the heavy rain that comes into the Charlotte area right around 6 a.m. There could be a burst of sleet or even a little bit of glaze here because temperatures could briefly fall to the freezing mark before they go back up. But also notice how quickly this system moves out. I mean, it is gone. I mean, the heavy stuff, at least, is gone by 8, 9 o'clock in the morning. Now, there could be some lingering drizzle and maybe a lingering flurry or two, but by 11 a.m., we start to just see cloudy skies and temperatures going back above the freezing mark, even in areas that see the icing. So this is not going to be a long-duration event. It's not going to be a bunch of ice that lasts for a day. It's really overnight tonight and early tomorrow. So from midnight tonight through noontime on Sunday, I would say if you live in these areas north of Charlotte, north of Interstate 40 from Asheville to Morganton, Hickory, Statesville, Greensboro, the roads are going to be icy. But after that, they're likely just going to be wet. So it's a 12-hour window where you're going to be fine. Now, as we go into Sunday night, colder air will wrap back around the system, and we might see another burst of snow in the mountains. The good news is it's not ice. It's going to be snow. And across the Piedmont, we might see temperatures maybe fall close to the freezing mark, but it looks like now they're going to stay above the freezing mark. So I don't anticipate big refreeze in many locations across the Piedmont. So my updated ice map, and this is really the most important thing to show you, is where we think we're going to see the worst icing. And I'll play this out a little bit. I'm going to stop it right there. This area right here, eastern facing slopes, down to Asheville, even to upstate of South Carolina, back to maybe South Mountain State Park, so extreme northern, Cleveland County, north of Hickory, up into northern Iredell County, maybe over to Davie County, Winston-Salem, this area. And I could probably extend this up into here as well. So that's the area where basically from midnight tonight to noon tomorrow, this is going to be our worst spot. And this will likely be a pretty significant ice storm. Somewhere in here, the cold air is going to get trapped. There's going to be some little valleys up in here where that cold air is going to get trapped, and we're going to see significant ice, maybe 1/4 to 3/10, maybe 4/10 of an inch of ice. So not a widespread ice storm, but man, these pockets in here, somebody's going to get clobbered. I'm going to see trees tomorrow morning, pictures of trees, of them being bent over and cracked somewhere in this area. I just know it. So if you live in those areas that I'm talking about, please, please, please take full precautions for being without power for maybe a day or two, maybe up to 3, and just be ready for trees and power lines to come down, and bridges and overpasses in particular. I think some of the main roads might be okay, but man, any elevated road surface is probably going to have some big time issues. So we'll go back to the radar real quickly here just to show you again how the system is progressing. And the radar kind of doing a pretty good job of showing where our precipitation is really causing the biggest issues. I'll show you the temperatures again. This is where we got ice occurring right now. And then over towards Mount Airy and Greensboro. So you could see kind of the area where it's cold enough, and that's likely where it's going to stay. There's probably not going to be a whole lot of change. Temperatures will get close to freezing in the Piedmont and the Charlotte area, but they'll likely never completely fall below that. So coming up at 8:19 on NBC Charlotte on the air, I'll be doing a cut-in, and we'll be doing a couple cut-ins tonight. And of course, I'll be on TV tonight starting at 11. I'm just going to quickly check the surface obs just to see if anybody else is reporting any freezing rain. And right now, Jefferson is reporting snow. Boone is reporting freezing rain and sleet. We're getting freezing rain still in Asheville. And we're getting freezing rain now being reported at Winston-Salem. But everybody else is reporting just light, cold, miserable rain. So that's the latest. I'll post updates throughout the evening on my Facebook page, Twitter, Instagram. In the Charlotte area, no worries. Roads will be fine. I don't think you have any issues for church tomorrow. Just a miserable cold night, so stay warm, stay dry, and I'll keep you updated throughout the night. I'll see you coming up in about 20 minutes on air on NBC Charlotte. See you then, guys.